Hey everybody, welcome to my channel, Rookie Numbers, where I will be talking all things NFL. Today's topic is going to be AFC backup quarterbacks, and I'm going to rank each backup quarterback through each division from worst to best, fourth to first. So we'll go ahead and get started here. We're going to start with the AFC North, and once again, I'm going to rank them from worst to best throughout each division. We're going to start with the AFC North. Number 4 is going to be Josh Johnson, the Baltimore Ravens backup quarterback. Doesn't have a lot of experience. We don't have a lot to go off of with Josh. We know he made a brief NFC Championship appearance with the 49ers a couple years ago when Brock Purdy went down, where we saw him struggle, wasn't really prepared. The 49ers definitely didn't see that. Didn't have much of an opportunity to adjust to Josh Johnson coming in. He's got a 1-8 overall record as a starter. This is actually his 24th team change since he was drafted by the Buccaneers back in 2008. He's played for 13 different NFL teams, a brief XFL appearance, and also various other leagues he played in as well. So including all that, this is 24 different teams that he's played for. He was the XFL passer rating leader in 2020. That's a career highlight for Josh. He hasn't really gotten the opportunity to start long term for any other team, so that's why he comes in at number 4 with the Ravens. Moving on, we have the Bengals backup quarterback, Jake Browning. He comes in at number 3 in the AFC North. He was actually drafted by the Vikings after a successful career with the Washington Huskies in college. The Vikings drafted him, I believe it was 2019 or 2020, where he eventually moved on and earned a roster spot with the Bengals a few years after that. Last year when Joe Burrow went down due to injury, Jake Browning was able to fill in, and what a lot of people thought the Bengals were going to kind of fall apart, Jake Browning kept their head above water. He kept them above 500. They ended up finishing with a 9-8 record, and they were in the playoff conversation all the way leading up to the wild card round. So that's why he comes in at number 3 in my book. Moving on from Jake Browning, we're going to go to number 2, Cleveland Browns backup quarterback is Jameis Winston. He has a career starting record of 34-46. He obviously started with Tampa Bay after he was drafted back in 2016, number 1 overall, former Heisman Trophy winner. He was also the passing yards leader back in 2019. Also led the league in interceptions that year, however. He was New Orleans backup for 4 years. Jameis is a great guy to have in the locker room. Very solid backup, has the experience, shows he's had the arm strength, and just a really good overall guy to have on your football team. So number 2, Cleveland Browns, Jameis Winston, which is going to lead to our number 1 backup quarterback in the AFC North. It's going to be Justin Fields. Everybody's anticipating Russell Wilson to be the starter come week 1. I believe that to be true as well. Justin Fields has shown a little bit of flash here and there in this year's preseason. He has a overall starting record of 10-28. He was drafted, I believe it would have been 21 when Justin Fields was drafted. He had 3 years in Chicago. Bears obviously decided to go a different route, not pay Justin Fields that big contract, and draft Caleb Williams number 1 overall. Fun fact about Justin Fields, though, when he was drafted, he progressed the Bears' overall record from year to year. He started out 3-14, ended up going, I believe, 6-11 the next year, and I believe last year they went 7-10. So slowly progressed the team's overall record with his, he made a lot of plays on the ground, not a lot through the air. They tried to bring in DJ Moore to help him out a little bit, but they decided to give the real rebuild to Caleb Williams in Chicago. I think it was a great trade for the Steelers to bring him in. Great move to bring Russell Wilson in as well. It'll be fun watching those two guys duke it out for the number 1 spot, but I got Justin Fields as my number 1 backup quarterback in the AFC North. Moving on to the next division, we have the AFC East, starting with the 4th best backup quarterback in the AFC East. That's going to be Drake May. Obviously, we don't have a lot to go off of yet. This is his rookie season. A lot of people might think that Drake May is going to be the starter week 1, but I think he's going to get the Jordan Love treatment. Jacoby Brissett's going to start, and I think that's the right way to go about it. They don't have a lot around him right now to help elevate Drake, so having Jacoby kind of show him the ropes first. He's a solid veteran to help May out. So I think that's the way to go. Drake May's father played quarterback for North Carolina back in the 80s, where he was friends and teammates with Mason Rudolph's father, who was another backup quarterback who we're going to talk about here in a little bit. He was the third overall pick in this year's draft, started 26 games in college. Kind of excited to see what the Patriots have there as time goes on. Number 3 best quarterback in the AFC East, I have Mike White. He has a 2-5 career record as a starter, and all 7 of those starts came with division rival New York Jets. He was a 5th-round pick back in 2018. We got to see glimpses of him over the last couple years. Overall stats in his professional career: 9 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. But at Western Kentucky, he threw for over 4,000 yards one year, and it was an impressive feat to watch because he sat out the second half in a lot of his college games because that team was so explosive on offense. So Mike White comes at number 3, backup quarterback to the Dolphins. Tua's had his fair share of injury history. Mike White's a good guy to have behind him, I think. The second best quarterback in the AFC East is going to be the Buffalo Bills' Mitch Trubisky. Number 1, 2 overall pick. Back in 2017 or 2018, this is his second stint with the Bills. He led the Bears to the playoffs in 2018. He had an 11-3 record as a starter that season. This is his, like I said a moment ago, second stint with the Bills. Played for Pittsburgh last couple years, where him and Mason Rudolph were behind Kenny Pickett, and I don't believe I think he started a few games with the Steelers. But Bills bring him back this season. I was actually kind of surprised to see that he had a 31-26 record as a starter. That's 63 games. That's almost 4 whole seasons. But he comes in at number 2 for me. We're going to go into number 1. In my opinion, the best backup quarterback in the AFC East is Tyrod Taylor. A lot of people forget Tyrod Taylor is a Super Bowl champion. He was the backup quarterback behind Joe Flacco for the Baltimore Ravens back when they won it back in 2013 against the San Francisco 49ers. Tyrod has 19 career rushing touchdowns. Turns 35 this year, and he was the Bills' starting quarterback from 2015 to 2017. A lot of people forget. He's not just a journeyman backup. He was the division rival Bills starter for 3 full seasons almost. So he definitely has the experience there. Great guy to have behind Aaron, who's coming off Achilles injury last season, a devastating injury. But I think the Jets have some pretty good insurance there. We're going to go down to our next division now, which is going to be the AFC South. The number 4, coming in at number 4 in the AFC South, from worst to best, I think I got Jacksonville Jaguars' Mac Jones. We all know Jones had kind of a rough go last couple years with the Patriots. Him and Bill Belichick did not mesh. They decided to move on from him, and eventually brought in Drake May, who we just talked about a moment ago. Drafted in 2021, and actually managed to receive a Pro Bowl selection his rookie year back in 2021. But after that rookie season is when he really started to regress and started to see that a lot of the decision-making still needed some work when it comes to Mac Jones. Great college career, threw 5 touchdowns in the national championship back in 2021 where Alabama completely rolled Ohio State. The intelligence is there too with Mac. He earned his master's degree in sports hospitality with a 4.0 GPA. Maybe we'll see him get a few starts with Jacksonville. Due to injury, of course, because Trevor Lawrence is also coming off of injury. Number 3, I got Texans backup quarterback Case Keenum, who has a 30-36 overall record. Case's numbers speak for themselves. Threw for over 19,000 passing yards in college, 2-time Sammy Ball Trophy winner at Houston. We all remember a few years back, 2017, when Kirk Cousins went down. Case Keenum was able to lead them to the 2017 NFC Championship, where they would eventually lose to the Eagles. Has thrown for over 15,000 yards in his professional career. For a backup, that's some solid yardage. That's why he comes in at number 3 for me. The second best backup as of right now in the AFC South is going to be the Tennessee Titans' Mason Rudolph. Has an 8-4-1 career record. 4 games above 500. He was a 3rd-round pick in 2018. He played almost 4 full years at Oklahoma State. He's on a 1-year deal with the Titans. he's been solid. He doesn't do anything flashy, nothing crazy special about Mason, but what speaks a lot about Mason is the Steelers opted to start him last season, going into Baltimore in a must-win game to keep their playoff hopes alive. Mason played solid that game, went 18 for 20, had 152 yards, didn't turn the ball over, just looked very comfortable. They go into Baltimore last season, who was probably the best team in the regular season, was able to pick up a huge win. I think that game really told us a lot about Mason Rudolph and what he can bring to the table as a backup quarterback if he's called upon. So he comes in at number 2 for me in the AFC South, which moves on to the best backup quarterback in the AFC South, in my opinion, is going to be, I don't think there's any surprise here, Joe Flacco. Has 185 career starts with a career record of 103 and 82. Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP, last year's comeback player of the year, had kind of a resurgence with the Browns last season. This is his 6th different team. Has the record for most passing touchdowns in a single postseason. Hence the nickname January Joe. He was one of the really solid veteran guys for a long time. He's thrown for 245 touchdowns, 42,000 yards in his career. Fun fact about January Joe, didn't miss a single start with the Ravens until his 8th year in the league. So, a lot of impressive numbers that Joe brings to the table. That wraps up the AFC South. We're going to move on to our last division now. We have the AFC West. Coming in as the worst backup quarterback in the AFC West, I have Easton Stick, who just doesn't have a lot of experience. Also has an 0-4 record as a starter. Has kind of struggled a little bit this preseason. They had a 13-9 loss to the Rams last week, where he just did not look good. Fumbled at the 1. I think also threw an interception in that game. So not a lot to go off of when it comes to Easton. We got to keep in mind in preseason he's also playing with second stringers. He was drafted in the 5th round of 2019. 4-time FCS national champion with North Dakota State. Went 15-0 as a starter in 2018 with the Bison. Also took over as the starter for Justin Herbert last season after Herbert suffered a season-ending injury. So he's also on a one-year deal with the Chargers. So don't know a lot about Easton yet, but time will tell as things move along here. Number 3, third best backup quarterback. I need to emphasize backup. Sorry about that. In the AFC West is going to be Jarrett Stidham. Also, not a lot of experience. I think he only has a 1-3 career record as a starter. He was drafted by the Patriots in the 4th round back in 2019. He was Auburn's starting quarterback in college in 2017 and 2018. He was the backup to Tom Brady when he was initially drafted, and a lot of people thought maybe he was going to be the successor to Tom when he was drafted, but in 2020 is when the Patriots decided to bring in former Panther and NFL MVP Cam Newton, and was never really given the opportunity to start long term. He was eventually traded to the Raiders in 2022, started a couple games there, but has looked solid in the preseason. I think Denver's just announced that Bo Nix is going to be the starter. Zach Wilson is also on the roster, but Jarrett Stidham to me, will beat out Zach Wilson for that second spot. So excited to see what he can do in this final preseason game coming up, but he comes in at number 3 in the AFC West. Moving on to the second best backup quarterback in the AFC West, I have, I think I lost him. Aiden O'Connell, sorry. 4th round pick out of Purdue last year. Last year was his rookie season. Replaced a struggling Jimmy Garoppolo on November 1st last year. Started the last, 10 games. Some college accolades. Two-time All Big Ten player with the Purdue Boilermakers. Right now, his overall quarterback rating sits at 83.9. He's right at 500 right now. His 5-5 career as a starter. Gardner Minshew just beat him out for the starting job in Las Vegas, but I think that could easily change because I think he showed enough to where if Minshew starts to struggle, he's going to be right on his feet. He's going to be right behind him, ready to step in and potentially show that he can be a long-term starter for the Raiders. So he comes in at number 2 for me. Moving on to the last quarterback we're going to talk about, he comes in as the number 1 ranked backup quarterback in the AFC West, Carson Wentz with the Kansas City Chiefs. Has has a 47, 45, and 1 career record as a starter. He's one of my all-time favorite players. You see the shirt here. He was drafted number 2 overall by the Eagles back in 2016. 5-time. We talked about Easton Stick being a 4-time national champion with North Dakota State. Carson Wentz is a 5-time FCS national champion with North Dakota State. Super Bowl 52 champion. I know he was the backup. He was injured. Nick Foles came in, but Carson did a great job of setting it all up for Nick. In my eyes, Carson Wentz is a former Super Bowl winner. He's a Super Bowl champion in my book. He wears the ring. He had a lot to do with the Eagles' success back in 2017, and he still shows that, when he's called upon, he can make a difference. He played 1 game with the Rams last year where he was able to go into San Francisco, help the Rams get 1 more win going into the playoffs. Career has obviously dwindled, since that big sophomore season with the Eagles. But still shows that he's got playmaking abilities. He's got size. He's got athleticism. Guy's 6'5", 240s. He's a menace when he's out there on the field. Defenders know he's going to be a tough guy to bring down. Has over 22,000 career passing yards. Fun fact about Carson, he's the Eagles' franchise record holder in touchdowns. In a season, not overall, but in a season, he has the franchise record for the Eagles with 33, and the single season record for passing yards for the Eagles with 4,039. So, look for Carson if he's called upon. I think Kansas City would be the right place, and it's kind of cool to see, a guy that came from the Eagles and had success there briefly to potentially, if Mahomes were to ever go down with injury or, God forbid, Carson Wentz is going to be right there to step in. We'll see if, him and Andy Reid could make some magic. So that's it for the video today, guys. I will have an NFC backup quarterback rankings coming out here pretty soon. So let me know what you think in the comments. If there's anything that, if you think so-and-so is better than so-and-so, or this person should be ranked higher than this person, I'm happy to read all the comments. If you guys like this sort of content, please like and subscribe. I love talking NFL. Love to hear feedback as well. So thanks again. I'll be back later next week with the NFC backup quarterback rankings. So thank you, guys.